Well, breaking this morning in the Middle East, Israel confirms its military struck more sites in Iran. The Associated Press reports that it hit access routes to Iran's Fordo enrichment facility. And Israel Defense Forces say warplanes also struck 6 airports in Iran. Meanwhile, cities in Israel are on high alert as Iran also launched a new wave of missiles today. Sirens could be heard in Haifa and Jerusalem this morning. Well, today, President Donald Trump is expected to meet with his national security team 2 days after the U.S. military launched strikes on 3 Iranian nuclear sites. On social media Sunday, Trump wrote about the Iranian government, saying, quote, "Why wouldn't there be a regime change?" He posted hours after Secretary of State Marco Rubio spoke on CBS News' Face the Nation, saying the changing of the regime is up to the Iranian people. A White House official tells CBS News that on Saturday, President Trump gave the final go-ahead for Marine One for the military strikes. This during a call with Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth.
The battle damage assessment is ongoing, but our initial assessment, as the chairman said, is that all of our precision munitions struck where we wanted them to strike and had the desired effect.
On Sunday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that he was given a heads up about the strikes. He says his country is close to achieving its goal in the conflict. Anti-war protests popped up around the U.S. Sunday as the White House now calls for diplomacy with Iran over its nuclear program. Well, here locally, we're hearing from attorneys this morning after a Crawford County judge has acquitted Randall Warsester of criminal charges. Now, you may remember he's the man who was involved in a violent arrest in Crawford County in August of 2022, and there were pictures of this arrest that went viral. It landed 2 deputies in prison. And 5 News reporter Jacob Luthi, you're here with us in studio, and you kind of have the reaction from this acquittal this morning.
Yeah, Randall Warsester's attorney says that he is doing well as can be expected, given the circumstances of everything that he has been through. The criminal trial that was set to begin this morning is now canceled. A Crawford County judge ruled that while Randall Warsester was competent to stand trial, he lacked the capacity due to mental illness to understand or follow the law at the time of the 2022 incident. Warsester was at the center of a police brutality case seen right here that led to prison time for 2 officers. The ruling comes after a mental health professional deemed him unfit to understand the criminality of his conduct. Court records show Dr. Jason Beeman diagnosed Worcester of unspecified schizophrenia spectrum and other psychotic disorder. Worcester was facing multiple criminal charges related to the day of his arrest, including first-degree terroristic threatening and second-degree battery, among others.
Before he arrived in Arkansas, he had been on the road for several days. He had not had his medications. They were stolen. He was dehydrated. It was extremely hot. All of those things came together to lead to what happened that day.
In this case, the state doctor said that he did not understand what was going on. So at that point, I don't have a witness.
Now, as part of today's acquittal, prosecutors say Worcester will be sent to the Arkansas State Hospital for an undetermined time period. When they deem that he is no longer a danger to others, he will be released with some supervision. Tiffany.
All right, thanks for that, Jacob. Well, both of the former Crawford County deputies convicted of depriving Worcester of his civil rights during that arrest were sentenced to prison in federal court. Levi White received 5 years and 3 months, while King received 1 year. Both entered plea deals, and White is now appealing the sentencing and asking the court to reconsider, arguing that it was unduly harsh compared to King's. A third officer with the Mulberry Police Department seen in the video never faced charges. Well, today, the jury trial for a man accused of killing his wife is set to begin in Washington County. Earlier this year, prosecutors waived the death penalty in Jason Dunigan's capital murder case. He could still face life in prison without parole for the death of Amber Dunigan. In May 2021, the victim's body was found in a parked vehicle along a highway, which wasn't far from her home west of Fayetteville. Court documents say Jason Dunigan was served an arrest warrant in February of 2022 and later pleaded not guilty. Earlier this month, he requested that today's trial be continued at a later date. We will bring you any updates if the trial moves forward right here on 5 News. Well, former Washington County deputy originally charged with murder will now face a lesser charge. Stephen Grindstaff's trial is set to start today. He was originally charged with first-degree murder, aggravated assault, and felony with a firearm after allegedly shooting and killing Scotty Stacy during a 2023 traffic stop. Grindstaff pleaded not guilty. Now, according to an amended felony information sheet filed Wednesday, the murder charge was changed to a manslaughter charge. You can read more details and find any updates on this case at 5newsonline.com. Over the weekend, the community of Fordyce, Arkansas marked 1 year since a gunman opened fire at a grocery store. The shooting claimed the lives of Callie Weems, Royal Sturgis, Shirley Taylor, and Ellen Shroom. Another 10 people were also injured that day. The suspected shooter is still awaiting trial. And while the people of Fordyce wait for justice for the victims, community members are finding ways to remember those who lost their lives. One of those events was a balloon release on Saturday, something they plan to do every June. Survivors and community members also spoke at a memorial ceremony, talking about the importance of keeping the memories of their loved ones alive. One local man says the community is moving forward in the healing process.
After 1 year, we found that, the community and even the owners of the place, brought back, a better beautification, for the situation that we might be able to overcome what we've seen.
Well, the man accused in the mass shooting is Travis Posey. He's at the Ouachita County Jail and now awaiting trial. He's facing dozens of charges, including 4 counts of capital murder. The trial is currently set to start on August 4th. One other news, one person is injured following a shooting in downtown Oklahoma City. This is all according to police there. It happened not long after the NBA championship as people were out celebrating last night. But officials are saying that it was not related to the basketball game. They say a person of interest has been taken into custody. Well, there's a new push in California to stop law enforcement officers from masking their identities during public encounters. Elise Preston is in LA, where immigration enforcement arrests have proved controversial.
ICE crackdowns by masked armed agents.
Better get out of here.
Said workplaces, grocery stores, even houses of worship are creating fear and confusion.
Why you covering your face, bro?
Over who is putting people in handcuffs.
This is an absolute terror campaign by the Trump administration and by ICE toward basically the Latino community.
California State Senator Scott Wiener has co-authored the No Secret Police Act, which would prevent federal agents who all work under the U.S. Department of Homeland Security from covering their faces.
Secret police are when you have people, they're wearing a mask, they're not identifying themselves, and they're literally just grabbing people and taking them away.
DHS said on social media masks are needed to protect agents who are facing a 400% increase in assaults, like this immigration officer who was dragged by a car last week in Minnesota.
DHS called your bill and the idea of secret police despicable. What's your reaction to that?
The Department of Homeland Security, its job is to keep the homeland safe, not to target people in this country and to create an atmosphere of fear. That's despicable.
Well, that was Elise Preston reporting. The bill has some exemptions, like for SWAT teams and the use of medical-grade masks. Well, this is pretty exciting. 2 Fort Smith Northside graduates are now NBA champions. We're taking a live look out in Oklahoma City right now. Jalen Williams, Isaiah Joe, and the OKC Thunder earned a Game 7 win over the Pacers last night. I'm sure these streets were packed with people celebrating. Now, they won by a score of 103-91, bringing the Sooner State their first ever NBA championship. Now, this is video showing fans celebrating outside of the Paycom Center in Oklahoma City. Both Jalen and Joe played together in Fort Smith, then at the U of A, and now in the NBA, where they're champions.